Look, thank you very much for everyone coming along this evening. Because we have an opportunity to have Andrew talk to us tonight. Andrew Thompson is Special Vehicles and M Cars. So I'd like to ask Andrew to give us a brief rundown on what's happening with the special vehicle range of BMW and M's, and let us know the secrets.
Don't have to know any secrets, but
Yes.
Right, thanks so much, Gary. Welcome everyone to Brisbane BMW. Sorry, I look after the M brand, as you all know. Fantastic brand, great cars. I'm sure there's a few of you that are enjoying the vehicles. We're expanding the range. You'll see the M2, which came out probably just on 4 years ago now, as a full M car. We've grown it in the SUV market. Maybe some of you that might not think it's appropriate, but those cars are actually weapons, if you like, specifically on a track. A couple of differences with the vehicles. I might start just by going through the range a little bit. Starting with the M2, we now have the M2 competition. So that comes out in two forms. We have a full competition pack and we have a pure edition. Competition has been upgraded from the previous M2, so it's now the same engine that's in the M3 and M4. Slightly detuned, so a twin turbocharged 6-cylinder, producing 302 kilowatts and 550 odd newton meters. So it's bumped the newton meters up by 50 newton meters and 37 kilowatts. So slightly faster. So with the competition pack, you've got the extra power, different suspension, slightly lower. A few differences around the vehicle. It's a new grille which now joins in the middle, which is becoming more common with the range of BMW you'll see here on the floor. Being a competition, the grille is black, as is the badging on the vehicle. New designed front and rear bumper. It has now a sports exhaust, so no longer do we get concerned hearing all these Mercedes whizzing up the road. New seat in the car, so completely new designed seat. And then we've added a few options which we would have had from the M3. Namely, you can alter your steering wheel feel from comfortable to sport and sport plus, so heavier settings depending on what you're doing, whether you're on the track or doing some spirited driving in the mountains. You're able to adjust the gearbox in 3 settings, so a nice smooth change, or getting to that point where it's going to snap those gears. Obviously a dual clutch transmission in that car as well. And then you're also able to adjust the engine. So wherever you've got that engine adjusted depends on how the car's going to sound. We have a pure edition, so engine, suspension, seating is all the same. It just differs in terms of the standard features on the vehicle. So with the M2, for example, you'll see that octagonal kind of design on the headlight. Just checking it, yes it is. So those are adaptive LED lights. You delete those from the M2. That new design of alloy wheel is a standard feature on the full competition pack. You'll lose your comfort access, so your keyless entry in the car. You'll lose the Harman Kardon sound system. So those are items, plus the electric seats with memory. It does make a difference if you let the better half drive the car as well. And then you'll also see that it now shares the same mirror caps as the M3, which previously it didn't. So the seating was quite good. Great car. Pure is a great introduction into the M range. They start from around about $118,000. The full competition pack ran about the 122 mark. We say it's 0 to 100 kilometres per hour in about 4.1 seconds. BMW is generally pretty good at underestimating those times. And we don't necessarily want to say that it might be pushing the M3 a bit too hard. There's a little bit more money involved, obviously. The M3, as you see here, M4, BMW changed its numbering system in the last round of series for these cars. So they took a hit. So essentially all that happens, the even numbers now mean it's either a coupe, convertible, or a GT. So that's a smoother look. The odd one would still drive the person in the M3, performance-wise would be the same. Obviously it's just the amount of light. Again, at this range, the M3 is a competition pack only. So again, it's the suspension differences, the black grills, a little bit more power, and it's going a little bit faster. So we rate these at 4 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometres per hour. Fantastic vehicle, a lot of items you can change in the car. Physically comparing this to the best 3 Series, which in that time would have been a 340i or a 440i, 80% of that vehicle is different. From body parts to engine to suspension, differentials. So you'll always see in the M3, it'll always have that power bulge in the bonnet. It'll always have its specifically designed front bumper and rear bumper, the mirror caps, the exhausts, and obviously where the gill is also on the car. Carbon fibre roof was the first time that it entered into this range, which was the last change in the series. Now the M3 is no longer made. It ceased production in October 2018. So what's existing in the country is it. The dealers did stock up on these vehicles because it's one of our most successful selling cars. M4s have just gone out of production. You will not see a new M3 or M4 model until about the first quarter of 2021. Reasoning for that primarily is the M cars are released as a sedan and a coupe. So to release the coupe, we need to have the 4 Series out, which is not in the marketplace as the new 3 Series is at the moment. Fantastic cars, some very good deals on. Again, we do a pure option in these vehicles. So again, it's different headlights. You lose the leather, you'll lose your Harman Kardon sound system. Retail price-wise, M3s, pures would have been about 148, the full compact about 168. Your pures and the M4s 158, and then the full competition packs around that 170 mark. Again, you can see some pretty good price on these cars. We have introduced the new M5, which has been out for just on 18 months, about 2 years. That is a pretty special vehicle and signals a new way that BMW is going. Namely, it has the M drive system in the car, the M all-wheel drive system, which differentiates from the X drive system. Every motoring scribe seems to get it wrong. They call it the X drive. X drive in a car will shift drive front to rear, side to side, but not as much playfulness as you'll have in an M5. So with the new M5 and subsequently I believe the M3 and M4 will share that technology. You'll have an all-wheel drive system. Essentially it'll still think for itself, but be predominantly 40-60, go up 50-50, or shift more to the rear. Once the car's run in, you'll be able to play with a sport setting, which will put it more 20-80, so you can drift your cars as you would be used to doing fairly easily. And then ultimately, turning everything off, you can go into two-wheel drive. So that does mean you can still shred up your rear tyres, which also means you would need 2 or possibly 4 new tyres for four-wheel drive. So something to look at. M5, again, when that car was released, they released it as a launch edition and a first edition. Those vehicles were exceptionally well priced at $220,000. Previously, the old F10 M5 retailed in that 250 plus mark as a two-wheel drive. That was released with a 441 kilowatt engine, 750 odd newton meters of torque, all-wheel drive. Now 220, that was a winning formula. 4.4 litre, 20 turbocharged V8. So we would still call it a new engine over the previous F10. So that was 0 to 100 kilometres per hour in 3.4 seconds. Fantastic car. There was only 50 of those units that made it into the country, and they sold up fairly fast. They were, as I say, a launch edition and a first edition. The first edition was a specific order of 5 vehicles, which were in a frozen red colour with a ivory interior and black wheels. It was quite a stunning looking car. Not everyone likes a frozen finish. It is a finished car. And then now we have the competition pack. Now that's taking the engine up extra power again, suspension, black grills. Unfortunately, we haven't got one here to show you tonight. They seem to have jumped up in everyone's list of items to acquire. Now 460 kilowatts out of that car, same torque, more features, slightly faster than 0 to 100 kilometres per hour at 3.3 seconds. It introduced, now again, I like to stress that BMW is quite, underestimate their tyres rather than overestimate. So realistically, anyone should be able to jump in on a reasonable road and achieve those times. There's probably plenty of evidence out there where they're exceeding those times. So wonderful car, and it's the best thing about the M5, and it is the best M car I have ever driven. It is silky smooth, so it's actually not far off the ride of a 7 Series, but when you put it into your specific M2 mode that you may have stored, you will literally think you've gotten into another vehicle and someone stole your car. It is just incredible. And an experience one of your members actually drove out with the other day. He's just left. It has a sports exhaust on that car, so the actual sound it makes in that sports mode is exceptional. Leading on, we are going to see the new M8. That will be probably Q2 of next year. You'll see on the floor I do have an M850. Fantastic car in its own right, and does leave the old M6 in its wake. And just to cover the 6 Series off, the 8 Series is born from the 6 Series. It's a continuation of the model and a rebirth of a name that we had previously back in the late 80s, early 90s. Primary reason for that is we had the 6 Series GT. So the 6 Series GT took that moniker of the 6 Series away. So with the M850, just to explain how those number systems work, when we have an M in front of the actual number of the vehicle, which you'll see the M140, the M240, it means the car is mid-ground between our BMW range and our M range. So M has actually grabbed that car, pulled extra power out of the engine, changed suspension settings, and given it a very subtly different look from the standard vehicle. So you'll see when you walk around the M850 that it has cerium grey mirror caps, metal finish, cerium grey grills, any gills on the vehicle will be in cerium grey, as are the exhaust tips, and then a specifically designed wheel. Just to give you an idea of where that is, that's an X drive system, not an M all-wheel drive system. That V8 is a twin turbocharged V8, puts out 390 kilowatts, 700 newton meters of torque, and that's 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.7 seconds. Now, I am going to mention one other car in that range, which is the M760. We've never done a full M car, and some people like to think that the Alpina is the equivalent of an M, but they do use a V8 in that car. We have the M760 Li. Now that was, prior to the M5, the fastest vehicle that BMW had ever made. And we're talking about a long wheelbase 7 Series. Now that car is an X-wheel, X-drive, and I kid you not, it will be doing 200 kilometers per hour within 200 meters. Well, we'll make it 400, not 200. And doing 200 kilometers per hour going into right-hand turn, no braking, it will do the turn. And then it's 2 ton. But that's nothing in today's terms. When you compare that to the X5Ms, the X6Ms, they're in that 2 ton range. And having driven those on tracks in the US, namely just out of Vegas, where you've got a banked track, that's one of the few cars that was like an M3 or an M4 going into the back. You could pick and choose your line. There was no centrifugal force pulling you out, and come with the actual speed limit. So the M850 came in front of what our M8 will be. That car, as I say, we're here in Q2, that will be 460 kilowatts, so the same engine essentially as the M5, 750 newton meters of torque. They'll rate that car at 3.2 seconds, again with the M all-wheel drive system. Fantastic vehicle, so we can't wait to see those. They'll make better noise, as does the M5 competition. So, as I say, we're waiting with bated breath for that. We'll also see in the near future, around that kind of same time, the X5M and the X6M will break ground. Which leads me on to one other vehicle that we do have here, which you'll see in the middle of the showroom as you're walking down. We have the X3M on the floor, so our newest addition in the M range. That car there is carrying the same engine that will be in the new M3 and M4. So again, the twin turbocharged straight 6-cylinder engine. We're talking about 375 kilowatts and 600 newton meters of torque. Now these are figures that our fine feathered friends down the road would say we make more power. I just like reminding them that if we look at our trusty old M3 and compare it to the C63S, which is producing at 375 kilowatts, 700 plus newton meters of torque, that we're 4 seconds faster around the track down in Sydney than this car. And that's not thinking fact, what difference that would be on the ring in Germany. And that's where the beauty of BMW comes into play, that 50-50 weight split. It's all about that power to weight ratio. So the X3M, 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 4.1 seconds, all-wheel drive. It is an X-drive system. You can weight it to a 20-80%. You will not get a two-wheel drive in that. So you can still drift it. Quite an exciting car. You'll feel the difference when you ride one of those. It's that firmness of a true M car. So that kind of concludes where I'm at with our M range at the moment. It'll be exciting once we've got the new range of this small one. There will probably be a CS run of vehicles with the M2. Our CS range, Club Sport, again makes use of reducing weight in a vehicle, so there'll be a limited run of those cars. I would probably expect there to be maybe 50 units for Australia, if we get them. We did do the CS in the M3 and M4s, so that copied the M4 GTS, which was the carbon fibre bonnet. We took all the niceties out of the car inside. Okay, we still left air conditioning in there, one zone. Took out all the safety items, proved it's 0 to 100 kilometres per hour time by 2.2 a second, and we charged them all.
That's right. And that's it.
But an experience of the vehicle and a more usable car than what your GTS is. So something you could actually use on the road, but a track-focused car. Well, look, thank you very much. I'm sorry for being boring and that kind of thing. Are there any questions from anyone here?
Have you driven the X3M?
Only briefly.
Right.
It hasn't gone through my normal test drive of an M car as such.
Right.
But I can tell from the way it goes that it's a pretty exceptional car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of those people that does read what motoring scribes do, say about cars and compare it to when I'm driving them, and my views differ quite a bit.
Right.
It'd be good to sit down with one of them and actually go through a drive and say, how are you feeling that? What are you feeling? Well, this is because of that. And a common fact that's got that one weave through anything that a motoring scribe writes and tells me if they're good or not is quite often they talk about turbo lag. I'm like, turbo lag really doesn't exist in these cars these days. I mean, the turbo, you've got maximum torque in this vehicle at 1500 RPM, actually just under.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the room for turbo lag?
Yeah.
You know, I say to them, and that's primarily due to the fact that half the time they drive a car, they drive it at an economy setting on your automatic. So the car can start in second or third gear. And it's like saying to them, are you going to achieve your fastest time in a manual car by starting off in second? Probably not. And the next question they normally say is, I put it into sports mode and spend the next 20 seconds looking at the ceiling. Voila, it uses first gear.
Yes.
So
yeah.
It's those kind of little intricacies that you can relate to people when they're driving a car and comparing those things.
Yeah.
So there's only a few motoring scribes that are actually paying attention to.
In the market here in Queensland, are M cars moving well? Are you seeing more people getting into M cars, especially with the M2s and things like that?
The M2, when it first came out, was one of the vehicles we couldn't get enough of. It was a very limited production. We did not let anyone argue with us on the price. That was the price, and we can get you a car. So they sold out pretty fast. They sold really well. The M brand, the performance vehicles in Australia are exceptionally strong. M brand for Australia in June surpassed their targets, and that was in all states.
Right.
So very, very healthy, and we're talking about these cars are running out of production. So I've noticed an upturn in the M5. It's a lower volume vehicle, and there's a lot of competition in that range. When you're spending $250,000, your money buys you a lot of options. The beauty of it though is we package our vehicles with almost every option you can think of in the car straight away.
Yeah.
It's not like a Porsche where you might start at the same price, and by the time you've finished, you've doubled the price. Luxury car taxes out very, very good fee, of course. So no, the sales for the vehicle is very strong. The X5 and X6 M coming through, again, that's a strong market for us. Performance SUVs, making practically popular, very well received.
Right.
With the braking systems on the ends,
Yes.
can you still upgrade to a ceramic brakes and that sort of thing?
In certain cars. So for example, if you want better braking in the M2, you can go for the sports brake, which will give you a bigger disc with a 6-piston front brake pad with a 4-piston rear. It's only a $3,000 option. Looks quite nice. But having said that, the standard brakes we're on are pretty darn good. I mean, you can get out there and have a decent track day and not really experience any fade here. So they're exceptionally good. The M3s, M4s, M5s, M6, M8s, that scenario, once you're in that range, you have the option of going to ceramic carbon brakes. I've got a few clients that swear by them. They don't go on the track. One of them purely simply. No. One of them is, and you won't buy a car without it. We've built one. And it's because it keeps the wheels clean. It's simply as that. Andrew, I will spend $25,000 to have clean wheels. Give me $25,000, I'll keep you broke.
I'll be around every week.
But on the track you can notice a difference.
Correct. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
The M itself is brilliant,
Yeah.
but when you get in with the ceramics, it's just that you can give it that little bit more percentage.
Going deeper into it, later braking, that kind of stuff, and having the and it's going to boost the confidence as well.
Yes.
So yes, for that spirited drive, definitely. I'm quite happy to supply it. It possibly won't be available straight away.
And you'll have clean wheels too.
Yeah.
I always like clean wheels.
And leading into that, ordering an M car to specification is easy. Without ceramic brakes, you're okay with ceramic brakes. 3 months essentially if we order the car. We can have the car within 3 months for you. If you wanted to choose your colour and go for an individual colour or something that was an older BMW colour which they can recreate, that goes into an individual build and that will take 5 months to get cheaper. But it's a scenario where they do runs at a time, because with models made for Australia, we have the ADR regulations, so we buy time on the assembly line to have our cars built.
Okay.
And that's why you'll generally see our cars come out with a lot more features than around the world. So I'll have people coming back from the States going, I can buy an M3 for $63,000. Well, that's $120,000, but you've still got to add in your navigation, your leather, all the other stuff, all the niceties on the car, as well as your dual clutch transmission. So it gets up to our pricing fairly fast. But yeah, no, we generally cater for almost anything you want. And the odd occasion we do have some people requesting certain things in their vehicle, which we have an open line to BMW Germany. We can ask the question if they will do it. So we've had specific interiors done for clients in the past, whether it's a combination of leathers that don't exist, that kind of stuff.
There's something I was going to comment out of the track today. Gillian's M2, she came out with her new M2. She was very tentative on it. She went out and was very tentative. Her girl was enjoying herself, but during their passenger rides, she asked Simon to take the car for a drive and show her what happened at a lower level. And interestingly, Simon came back, they turned off as much as they could. He came back in and he said the first 2 laps, the car was fighting me all over the place until it learnt how I was driving. Once the car knew what he was doing and how he could drive, it then loosened up and let him drive it better. That's how intelligent they are. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So the more you give it its legs.
Yeah, exactly. And the more competent you show the car you are, the more it lets you do.
And that's the thing, the envelope of the vehicle far exceeds most of the driving ability that's in the vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see this in the track.
You've got to do something really stupid to get it on.
Any specs on the weight on the new M3 and M4 with the 4-wheel drive system?
No, but M works to the premise of not adding weight. So if they've added weight in some kind of engineering form, then they'll save it somewhere else and maintain a 50-50 weight split. So the weight difference from the M5 to the older M5, I think we were actually 40 kgs lighter. But we did achieve that by adding the carbon fibre reinforced plastic roof to the M5, which is the first time it's happened.
Yeah.
So, and you'll see that technology being used far more in our cars. For example, the M850 is the first non-M car, full M car, to have a carbon fibre roof in the actual coupe. They always call our cars heavy, but I mean, I've driven the new 8 Series on the road, and it's just There's two different cars. You can stick a Porsche in front of you and he's going to have to drive bloody hard to get away from you. So,
Are these still chassis like carbon?
no, it's formed steel chassis. The only car that has carbon fibre reinforced chassis is the 7 Series. And that's just primarily, again, to reduce the weight. And if I ignore the real world, the current real world fuel efficiency program, the 7 Series is the only luxury car in the 740i that was fuel efficient by Royal standards. The only car. Mercedes wasn't close, Audi wasn't close, Jag was never any close. So that's how light that car was and how agile it was. Even now with the real world, we're talking 7.4 litres per 100 k's average fuel consumption for a 6-cylinder producing 250 kilowatts and 450 litres at all. And still 0 to 100 k's in 5.5 seconds. It's not bad for a luxury vehicle. So, you know, it's a stunning product, and that's not belittling anyone else's product. Everyone makes a great car, but I think the attention to detail and the actual purist, you know, the M brand is talking to our purist drivers. If you're a purist driver and you want a great driving experience, then these cars won't be there. I call it the modern day supercar.
Are even dabbling in electric in any way, shape or form?
They'll be keeping their eye on that, and they will add that scenario into the vehicle. I had suspicions they might have done it this time out. It won't. But you'll see in the DTM in Germany, they've dropped the V8 engine and they're using the 2-litre 4-cylinder engine, which is producing 600 brake horsepower, a lighter car, and it's 2 seconds faster in the racetracks. So you can imagine at some stage, if they went to the 4-cylinder option, which would be very hard for Australians to accept, that you'll have some kind of battery situated in the car where you might have the rear wheels being driven by like an I8, a petrol engine, electric engine in the front, or more likely an assistance system, like your hybrid that you've got now, where it joins onto the gearbox.
Yeah.
But it has to be that 50-50 weight split.
Pass it on to BMW that the new 4 that there's at the latest car shows there, the grille is ugly.
I'm not going to be caught on camera.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, you're talking about chrome black.
No, the chrome like silver look.
Silver around the outside comes on the lower specs or lower spec engine options. Once it goes to the black, it's a competition. So that's one of your defining, you know, the small detail changes that they make.
So when these start to phase out, this is just with the M2 that's going to be holding up.
Well, that's going to be going out shortly too.
Oh,
There's probably only about 2 years left of the M2.
Oh.
If that, as I say, there'll be a short run of a CS option. I don't know if you've looked at the service department, but we can supply carbon fibre bonnet, carbon fibre front guards, carbon fibre roof in that vehicle there. So there's a heck of a lot of weight savings there. They're not cheap items. The bonnet I think was 10 grand. 10 grand, the roof was 20 grand, the guards were about 15 grand each. So, and they're fitted for the year.
How much was that insurance bill?
So, for the life of me, can't imagine how they, I would like to see them replace the roof.
Wow.
I was going to say, how do you do that?
What if you did the cut wrong?
That's right. Measure twice, cut once.
They're
Yes.
glued on these days, aren't they?
Probably.
So,
Glued.
Okay, well, any other questions? Or?
No, that's all good.
All right, look, on behalf of the club, thank you. If anyone's got their checkbook with them,
I haven't seen a check for a while, but I'm happy to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you take Amex?